Hello everybody and welcome back to Screamers. I'm Honor here with Maya and Jessie and we are going to talk through a juicy WSL week.
I actually think this was a really fun weekend of games. Some really exciting matchups. Not too many stale games. Some good end-to-end, edge-of-your-seat stuff.
End-to-end indeed.
Yeah.
I'll bring you some really cutting-edge analysis from my 2 halves of football watched in the back of a car this weekend from a phone.
Well, me and Honor had the absolute pleasure of being at the Emirates.
Pleasure.
Look.
At least we got to celebrate 3 times.
So true. And you know what? It was actually a really exciting game and I'm feeling really positive about our performance.
We had it on while we were getting ready for the wedding and not my wedding.
Just to clarify.
Congratulations.
That sounds misleading. Also the idea that you two wouldn't be there. While we're getting ready for a friend's wedding and I'll be honest, nothing adds to the stress of getting ready for a wedding like watching a football game. But yeah, what was it like in the stadium?
I thought it was a really good atmosphere yesterday.
Yeah.
Honor was in the Chelsea end.
I
Scab.
was.
But
It's now, I feel like this is quite unique. I've now been in the Chelsea away end at an Arsenal game, and I've also been in an Arsenal away end at a Chelsea game.
You know that thing you said once about Arsenal stats and Arsenal records? That's a very Arsenal kind of record.
Yeah. I personally feel like that is quite unique.
I don't think it is.
No, fine.
unique for
Okay.
our group of friends.
Unique for our
I
group of
agree.
friends.
Unique
Okay.
for someone who has an Arsenal season ticket, sure.
Yeah. Just a real amalgamation of different football viewing experiences. That's what this group is.
But the game ended 1-1.
Yep.
Personally, I obviously think it should have ended 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm just going to do is quote Izzy Christiansen from Sky Sports commentary,
Okay.
because I obviously am a completely neutral podcast host. This is what Izzy Christiansen said,
Right.
okay? They scored 2 goals that have been disallowed. That game should have finished 3-1 to Arsenal. They were 2 absolutely abysmal decisions. I think it's cost them and they've been robbed. There's no other way to put it.
Wow, is he?
Go on. Pop off.
She's
Green.
not even an Arsenal fan.
She's not. I would counter that slightly by saying that there were 3 abysmal decisions in that game, 2 of
You
which
thought
against
Palova should
Arsenal.
have got a red?
Oh, I was talking about the goals specifically.
Okay.
Alessia Russo was offside
Yeah.
for that goal. So it's like,
Okay, fair enough. That decision did actually go our way.
yeah.
I think the handball decision, because it also got overturned so much, like so far after the fact,
Mhm.
and I just think that was a really terrible
That
call.
was
Yeah.
shocking.
We're going to,
Let's go 1-1 and agree that it should have ended 2-1.
yeah. Well, real loss for refereeing that game more than anything.
Yeah, crazy officiating.
Yeah.
But as for the actual football,
As for the football,
it was quite an interesting game. I think it was quite exciting.
it was
as
really
Maya said,
exciting.
end to end,
Yeah.
lots of chances that were not being finished most of the time.
I think having Lotta in the starting 11 actually did really help because we progressed the ball a lot better.
Yeah.
I think actually as the game went on, we could have done with Kim Little. But she needs a rest, God bless her.
I do think initially she looked a little bit shaky, like just not quite with it, which you would expect from having not played at all.
Yeah.
Well, or hardly played. And then I think she really warmed up into the game.
I don't think generally we started well. I think Chelsea were really on top of us for the first sort of 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
I think the second half we really motored on. I thought we played really, really well in the second half.
From the snatches of it, I saw it looked like a team who knew they had the momentum behind it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, and we're going to actually make sure we finish this game on a high and get the result that we think we deserve, which was, I think there's been some lackluster performances, or like, not lackluster, but kind of sitting on a result and being like, we'll ride it out. Whereas this felt like, no, we're going to go and get it.
Yeah, it kind of felt like Chelsea started to do that actually. They sort of moved into a much more kind of defensive, it felt, in the second half, which I thought was a bit boring of them. But
What was the vibe between Hannah Hampton and Millie Bright like? What did that seem like
they
on
were
the pitch?
actually laughing together at the end. I just don't think Millie Bright played that well.
Well, I think also the Hampton-Bright connection actually on the pitch looked shaky to me.
Yeah.
Like their communication, I just felt there was a bit of a lack of communication and confidence just like in some of that passing between them.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting how this potential
rift
potential rift could actually be having an effect on their playing relationship as well. But yeah, I'm sure they're fine.
To be completely honest, I was thinking like I barely watched Chelsea. As in, like, obviously I was watching the game, but yeah, I wasn't.
You're watching
really
how your team does against them
Yeah.
rather than watching them, really.
Exactly, yeah.
But you know, a draw's not a bad result for for Arsenal. And like a win obviously would have been much better, but it takes another few points off Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly.
Start to reel them in.
We finally, this week is the first time we've got a different leader in the table, in fact.
I know, it's quite exciting, isn't it?
It is quite exciting.
Rather exciting.
I did worry we were going to get the whole league, like the whole season through, with everybody sort of taking points off each other, but actually it kind of all staying the same the whole way through.
So yeah, Man City are now top of the table thanks to the last kick-off of the weekend, which was Everton-Man City, which ended 2-1 to Man City, despite, I thought, a really well-fought battle by Everton.
I thought Everton played really well.
Really well.
I think Yamashita really kind of kept City in that for some stretches.
Yeah.
Like some of the...
She did pull off some great saves.
Oh, yeah, there was one also I thought she'd nearly taken herself out because I thought she'd hit the post from one angle, like face first. I was like, oh, that could be sore.
But again, a really fun end-to-end game, really fast.
There were some balls that were being put through by, I can't remember who for Everton. I was like, who are you putting that to? Oh, Tony Payne. Yeah. If anyone can get on the end of that ball, it's Tony Payne. Get on the end of that ball. Kelly Gaga, yeah, she'll get on the end of that ball. What an audacious goal.
Honestly, that was so cool.
I was like, is this a screamer? I don't think so, but it's just like the most amazing
I don't know, I might be revisiting it later.
Really? I'm not sure for me it was a screamer, but it was just so audacious. Yeah.
I'm loving the return of Kelly Gargo to Everton's starting lineup. I think, it's crazy because they obviously hadn't been starting her at all until last weekend.
Yeah.
And now she's just like firing.
It does beg the question of why she wasn't in the starting lineup earlier.
Yeah, well, were they playing Vignola in the 9 a bit more before?
Yeah.
So Vignola, by the way, existential screamer if that had gone in. She had absolutely that would have had to be my screamer had it actually been a goal.
there was one like that in the Liverpool game where I was like, oh, if you'd have connected with it properly and not been offside, would have been a screamer.
Maybe we should change the rules.
Yeah.
The goal we wish that was scored this weekend.
If we get a really dry weekend, we'll do that.
It's really fun as well to see the Bunny and Miedema link up, kind of popping off again.
Yeah.
So much fun to watch those two. That Miedema goal was like classic Miedema.
Yeah, I love to see Miedema do well.
Yeah.
I love her to keep the distance in her WSL goal scoring record.
Yeah, just keep adding it on.
Yeah.
Adding on the stats. Nikita Paris was like, oh, we'll get you back.
Well, London City Lionesses Spurs, that was actually another really exciting game.
Yeah.
Another very end-to-end game. I was excited about this one because both those teams have been having kind of relative success with the teams around them. So it was I was really interested to see how that matchup went. And it was actually pretty level pegging for quite a long time until Spurs kind of just seemed to run out of energy.
Yeah.
Towards the end, they kind of petered out a bit. I'm not going to say it had anything to do with the subs because that's mean, but
but it kind of feels like that is what you're saying.
Unfortunately, that is what happened. And they very quickly conceded 2 goals. But I think London City Lionesses could have kind of put the game to bed much earlier because I think some of their decision making in the final third maybe was a bit shaky in the first half, but it's coming together for them. Like I think both of those teams, obviously London City Lionesses didn't exist in the WSL last season, and they kind of didn't exist in their current form because they had such a huge turnover of players. So for them, I think they are on you can definitely see it coming together for them. They have so much talent and now they're starting to actually build those relationships on the pitch. Yeah. It is really starting to work. And similarly with Spurs, they look so much better than they have for the last 3, 4, 5 seasons.
I think Martin Ho is staking his claim incredibly early for coach of the season, manager of the season.
Yeah.
The job he has done with that Spurs team has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Even this was a loss obviously, but hard fought, and like you said, substitutions did kind of make a difference. I just think they're brilliant. I love watching Tandberg play.
Yeah, me too. She just has so much energy and creativity and passion and life, which is just what Spurs have completely lacked.
Yeah. And she just loves Spurs as well.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to be like, okay.
They needed someone like that.
Spurs. Yeah. I mean, the Spurs fans, I think, are just completely thrilled with her.
Yeah.
I would be. What an incredible signing. Firstly, to have a player who cares about the club in that way, and plays the way she does with passion and energy every week, which is something that Spurs have not always been able to boast about.
And she's obviously bringing up other players with her. Like I was just thinking this afternoon, like, you know, even though I'm an Arsenal fan and I obviously hate Spurs, but I'm so happy for them. Like it must be so nice for the Spurs fans to finally have something to get behind and finally something to root for, and for the players for that like mentality to shift and the mood in camp to shift, and like like because every season we've like there was that season where Martha Thomas went on that kind of scoring run, but they still ended up playing like being so shit. They've never had anything to kind of really get behind in recent years, so I do feel really happy for them and for the league.
It feels like before they've relied on that Martha Thomas season, or they've relied on Bethany England trying to do everything, whereas
Grace
now
Clinton as well that season.
Whereas now they're like actually playing as a team. There's kind of, there feels like a really steady core. They've got not just one outlet for goal.
Yeah, exactly. And they actually look good. Like they're doing good build-up play. They have those relationships on the pitch. Like that was just so lacking before. They were like, I remember going to watch them. They were running into each other, and like it was just such a shambles.
It's a whole new era. I mean, it is really, really good for the league.
Yeah, I'm happy for them. Like,
you must be happy though, Maya, that you're back above them in the table now, though.
I am. Yeah.
Like that.
But it was nice. Again, it was nice for them to sit there for a bit. You know.
Yeah, and they're still.
Now that's over.
I don't want people to get disheartened, you know?
They're still in 5th, which is like obviously a very, very good situation to be in. London City Lionesses are 6th.
Oh, interesting.
3 points behind them.
3 points behind. And wow, guys, can I just say Freya Godfrey?
Oh,
that was one for the Arsenal fans as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. She was absolutely incredible this afternoon. That second goal.
Oh my goodness.
Dead.
It was a thing of beauty.
It was amazing.
It really feels like all of the sort of media and like the Sky Sports broadcasting around London City Lionesses has been trying to build up Freya Godfrey as like the face of that team as well, which you think about all the signings they've had come in, or, you know, also having like Nikita Paris in that team.
Yeah.
I feel like I see so much media about Freya Godfrey, and like this felt like the first match where to the casual fan who maybe doesn't know her was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I kind of understand who this girl
really
is now.
arrived.
What she's about.
Yeah, 100%. And also, obviously, shout out to Keats, who scored on her 200th WSL appearance, which is epic.
Legend.
And for once, not against a team she's formerly played for.
It was funny how it was the one time the commentators couldn't say that.
Just like, had a loan spell, she must have been there.
And then one upset this weekend, Villa Man U.
Yeah.
Villa beating Man U 1-0.
Honestly.
Again, I love to see Natalia Arroyo doing well.
Love to see Natalia doing well.
Love to see Kirsty Hansen doing well.
Hate to see what it's done for my fantasy team.
Oh, this weekend has been absolutely awful for my fantasy team. But the games have been really fun to watch, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, Man United really let me down in that sense.
It was messy at times from Villa, but there was some good defending, like denying Ella Toon a couple of times, like, you know.
And also sometimes you don't always, not every win has to be a really gorgeous
stylish
win. Sometimes you just need grit and you need to just get through. I wouldn't have expected, no offence to Villa, I wouldn't have expected United's first loss.
No, not
of
at
season
all.
To come to them.
No.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, the how rock solid they have been at the back and how kind of inconsistent Villa's attack has been at points this season. I wouldn't have thought that would be where it would come from. But I guess, you know, maybe there was an element of complacency because of that amongst the United team of like, you know, these aren't necessarily the ones who are going to cause us the most trouble. And then lo and behold,
sometimes it do be like that. And very big weekend for Screamers HQ because both Jessie and Honors
just
team
very loudly tapped the badge. I hope
both
that shows
Jessie and Honors team are no longer pointless.
No longer pointless.
Congratulations, guys.
Oh, I'm so relieved.
Some stomping draws.
Also, we both did the exact same thing of our teams on a 1-0 win and then conceding
at the very last gasp.
Last possible minutes in each game. But I was watching in the car and I saw our goal. So in my head, still a 1-0 win. The bit after I stopped watching doesn't count.
Gareth Taylor actually in his post-match was saying that he feels like, I'm paraphrasing, but he was saying that he feels like the team that he has are doing the best they can and they're putting in all the effort they need to, but that they need more depth and that things need to change in January. So I think he really has his eyes on that transfer window. Yeah,
and I would like to think the club are going to back him because I do think you can see it coming together. There were passages, some of the passages of play in that first half, and like when we were on the ball and playing quick balls to break down and get through, like, oh, it's working. It is working. We just don't have the players to consistently do that when we make substitutions, or, you know, like some of the sort of rougher edges around the team, because goalkeeper is still a very problem position. Like, shout out to Kirby for 2 incredible saves to make up for
she did, yeah. I think she was player of the match.
Hospital pass that she gave to Fuka Nagano, which almost... God, that was stressful. I mean, incredible saves to make up for it, but I think those moments of like, okay, we're working on the passing, we're working on the possession, the retention. Are we necessarily got
I think that is one of the interesting things as the league becomes more competitive that really does start to set teams apart, because like we were saying about Spurs, like they are looking so much better, but they don't have that depth, so things did start to fade for them when they had to start making substitutions out of the 11 that they would have wanted. Again, no shade to Bethany England, but like they don't have the shade that teams like Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, that is really going to hinder the league if they don't start thinking or start making clubs spend money on the women's teams, because when it's never going to be fairly competitive, if you can have the best manager in the world, but if you don't have enough financial backing to be able to rival the depth of these top 4 clubs, it's never going to change.
I think it is filtering down a little bit. Like, you know, we were so used to for so long to it being Chelsea, City and Arsenal, and then I think Man United
started really pushing.
Don't, again, not quite on the same level of depth, but are getting up there, and you can see actually what that does. And I do think with Spurs have made a good couple of signings, and they're not at the same level, but it's coming together.
It's working,
I think like coaches are starting to realise that, and you know, it proofs in the pudding in that Beata Olsen, 2 goals in 2 games for Liverpool. Nadozi probably should have saved this one, but she's actually going for it. She's going for chances. She is like putting herself in those positions, which we, you know, haven't always had.
Yeah, and you see it like you said with Man U a few seasons ago. Mark Skinner played the same 11. He did not rotate his team at all because he didn't feel like he could, and that would always mean that they would fade in the second half of the season. But now they're starting to get so much more success now that he's able to rotate those players because he does have a bit more of that depth. So it just shows what that kind of does, and you're right, you can see it filtering down with teams like Spurs.
So I'm quietly confident that, you know, now we're off 0, that it's gonna,
fingers crossed for January,
slowly start moving upwards. How do you feel about West Ham? Similarly, Hannah?
Less optimistic, I think.
Yeah,
West Ham are so firmly the worst team in the league, in my opinion. And we mentioned this last week, that they just don't seem to have any kind of plan. Whereas obviously Gareth Taylor,
that is just a huge
has
difference, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, just bleak. I mean, crazy end to that game, conceding at the last minute, because I don't know if we deserved the 3 points, but at this point, you got to take them. You got to take them. You need them. So that was just really, really poor to concede that goal.
It's one of those things, isn't it, when you concede an equaliser right at the end, you're like,
97th minute. O'Brien.
We maybe didn't play amazingly, but like they didn't play amazingly if it was the last minute of the game to get a goal. Like, it's so frustrating.
It is the worst time when you're as a fan.
But still, let's hold on to the positives.
And it's nice to see Martinez get back on the score sheet as well, because hopefully that means that she can kick on and start scoring at least occasionally now.
Start chipping away at that negative goal difference just a little bit. It's
just sad to watch West Ham. It's just sad.
But as Sonia Bonpastel says, we're still early in the season.
Yeah.
So you got ages.
There's a long old way to go.
You've got time. I agree with you. It's hard because it doesn't feel like there's a sort of trajectory that you're on. But remember last season, picked up quite a few points in the middle.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Who knows what could happen from January.
Exactly.
We'll see.
A late campaign. And next weekend is official Derby weekend, even though, in my opinion, the big derby was this weekend. But it's the WSL appointed Derby weekend.
Oh, they've decided, have they?
They have, yeah. So we will be digging into the Manchester Derby and the North London Derby, which I'm loving all the really dramatic adverts they've got on Sky Sports for the North London Derby.
It's also like...
Now is not the time to remind me that they actually beat us at White Hart Lane, by the way. I am painfully aware of that.
We didn't need to bring it up because we knew you would. Also, I just love the fact that like the season started with the Derby weekend. The season started with the Merseyside Derby, but sure, fine. Okay.
No, sorry. This next weekend is Derby weekend, Jessie.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
Not the first weekend, not the one just gone.
No.
Next weekend.
I think the City United game could be, because I think City started a little bit shakily, but then it looked like they were really establishing themselves, and obviously they're top of the league now, but they still feel like, well, there's gaps there to exploit.
And Man U have just had their first knock,
yeah,
so they've got something to prove.
Could be a really shit 0-0 draw, to be honest. How are you feeling ahead of next weekend?
I will be so surprised if we don't win. Surprised, disappointed, upset. Yeah, just because I know that Spurs are getting better, but I think that when they beat us 2 years ago, we were sort of in the depths.
The way you swallowed after that, like, still getting over the trauma. When they beat us, I just need a minute, guys.
It was, I will say, one of the worst afternoons
when
of my
they beat
year.
you in pre-season this year.
No, but back then, thank you, Anna. We were like in the depths of our Idaval like gloop, and there was no. It was a bit West Ham-y. Obviously, it was never quite that bad, but it was very like there's nothing positive on the horizon.
Yeah.
We're just like shit, and we can't do anything, and like no one looks like they're trying, and no one looks like they know what they should do, and no one can finish, and it was just like we kind of could have seen it coming. But I think, you know, this weekend specifically, I think we played really, really well, and we looked really up for it, and we had ideas, and we were trying different things, and I think I would like to think that is enough. Like, we should be beating Spurs. I think I will be surprised if we don't win that game, because I think we looked really good on the weekend.
It's going to be cool to see the battle of 4th and 5th. As
To be
you say, we
fair-
really should be beating Spurs,
To be
who
fair,
are
it
one
will-
place below us.
It
in the
will
league.
probably be the most exciting North London derby there's been for a really long time.
It's the one where it's felt the most in it, because it's like,
both teams have something to offer finally.
yeah, like the Spurs win.
No, as in we didn't 2 years ago.
Yeah,
But
but like
usually Spurs don't.
And that Spurs win was like great as a moment in the cup, but it didn't really they didn't kick on like as a team. It was,
And they didn't play amazingly for the
Yeah.
whole game. It was just this one moment where they slipped past us and we fucked up, basically.
yeah. Whereas this feels like it will be an actual defining era of like the direction of you know where Spurs are going.
I have to say, I could do with a less stressful game next weekend, because I gave myself the mother of all headaches during. I couldn't even go to the pub afterwards because I felt so awful. I had to go straight home.
Oh, so
I had such a bad headache.
Oh well.
So I could do without that next weekend.
We'll just get you a cold compress to take along with you. I think next weekend's got some beyond the official derbies. I think Liverpool will obviously be targeting their first win of the season next weekend.
Who are you playing next weekend?
Chelsea. So I think it's easy. It's in the bag. Can't see it going wrong.
Stranger things have happened.
Well, after a weekend of end-to-end football in WSL, I think it's only time we do another round of Screamers of the Week, don't you?
I do.
I'm in.
You're in. Honor, you won last week with your... Who was it?
Kathleen McGovern.
How could you forget Kathleen McGovern?
I'll do it again. Honor, you won last week with Kathleen McGovern because Maya and I split the Chelsea vote, effectively.
And I had the whole of Scotland voting for me.
You had the entirety of Scotland. You had Matt from How's Your Touch created about 15 burner accounts on Instagram to vote. But it was a fairly astounding across the board win. So
I'm very pleased with that, because I absolutely love that goal from Kathleen McGovern, and I love that she's getting her flowers for it via winning Screamers of the Week.
Yeah.
So congratulations, not just to me, but
Trophies in
also
the
to
post.
Kath. It was of all the rise she's had recently, and the first call up by Scotland, and the first goal for Scotland.
Yeah.
It's winning Screamers
This
of the
has
Week.
really made her season.
Feather in their cap.
The ultimate prize.
Well, as last week's winner, Anna, who are you picking this week?
I'm going to go... There were obviously a lot of great goals this week in the WSL and WSL 2,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to go over to Spain, and I am going to choose Vicky Lopez's goal for Barcelona against the Hairdressers.
This is not who I thought you were going to pick, so I'm glad.
It feels like a bit of cheat code, because Barcelona did win 8-0 against Deportivo La Coruña, so a bit boring, but I have to say... This Vicky Lopez strike, the way she curls it in, is just absolutely what Screamers are made of.
Nice.
What Screamers are for. Maya, who are you picking?
I am either going to pick... I can't decide, basically, between, weirdly, 2 goals from the Spurs London City Lionesses game.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
The Spurs one is the Simonon free kick, which was so gorge, and her first WSL goal, which is quite iconic of her.
Is it?
Yeah.
That
And
feels like the kind of thing that the stat that shouldn't be true. Like,
Why?
it feels like he should have scored before now.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
no.
Yeah.
And the commentator said, I've seen her do it in training so many times. And then she did it. And it was amazing.
Is this going to be a Kira Walsh now journey where someone's just going to be cracking shots on the edge of the box every week?
But I think I'm actually going to choose Freya Godfrey's second goal.
Mm.
A lovely step over, left-footed finish. And it was such a rocket. And it curled into the bottom corner. And it was perfect. And I had such a visceral reaction to it when I saw it on TV because I really wasn't expecting it. And it was really fun. So I choose that.
That's a
Brilliant
very good pick.
goal.
I choose Freya.
Absolutely gorgeous goal.
Yeah, very, very good strike. I'm torn between. I've got 2 goals on my shortlist. One of them we've already spoken a bit about is Kelly Gargo's ridiculous back heel, just because it was just so audacious and fun, and it prompted the oh my god reaction.
Yeah.
I was watching it back to see if it was definitely intentional and she definitely meant to backheel it, and no, she definitely meant to backheel it. And it was
She's like
absolutely-
back to the goal. It's so cool.
yeah, mid-air as well.
Twisting
like,
mid-air.
crazy.
no feet planted. Oh, it was fantastic.
Ballet.
The other one I'm torn between is from the battering of Deportivo, Leia Alejandri's
Oh yeah.
fantastic hit. It was kind of like everyone just stopped, like they saw her get the ball and were like, go on, have a go. And she
Yeah.
just sort of lifts it over them perfectly. The keeper just has absolutely no chance.
Go on, Lion.
So
yeah, great goal.
I think I might have to go for Alejandri's goal because I don't associate her with the screamer.
Yeah.
So it's something about that.
She is a new nominee for sure.
Yeah, first time nominee. We'll be sending you the badge in the post. Yeah, so I think that's who I'll go for. So we will put the clips up on Instagram for those of you who haven't seen them, and then you can vote on Spotify and on Instagram stories for who is your screamer of the week. So there's a few things that have kind of come across the Screamers' radar this week that we wanted to chat about in a bit more in-depth manner than on the Woso Community Noticeboard, from things that have happened in games to things that have been happening sort of around the game. And starting off...
So at the end of Arsenal-Chelsea in her press conference, actually no, in her mix zone interview, Renee Slagers was calling for VAR in the WSL to, as she said, uphold justice in games, which is a
So
very
dramatic.
dramatic way of putting it. So VAR has been used in like the later stages of some of our competitions like the FA Cup and the Champions League, but there's no plans at the moment to bring it into the WSL. And I think there are basically kind of 2 issues here. Firstly, is VAR really the most important thing we need to concentrate on in terms of improving the women's football infrastructure?
Yeah.
And also, will it really solve all of the issues that we're talking about, or does it just create new issues? So shall we go with the infrastructure point first?
Yeah, I just don't think it's a priority. I think the main thing that needs to be addressing is the quality of refereeing in general, because the problem with introducing VAR, to me, the main problem with introducing VAR to the women's game currently is that you're relying on the same referees.
Yeah, to make those decisions, having looked at it.
Yeah. So if we're saying the quality of refereeing in the women's game in the WSL is not good enough, let's bring in VAR and have it staffed with the referees who are not doing a good enough job in the WSL currently. That's what a lot of people dislike about its use in the Premier League. So you've got the referees who are making bad decisions in the Premier League. Next week they're the VAR making bad decisions in VAR.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to really solve the root problem, which is that the quality of refereeing is just not high enough, and is like there's every week it feels like there's so many ridiculous errors.
And so is the refereeing issue, is that like a funding issue, or I mean, what is that? Because I feel like we've all been saying refereeing needs to improve for years. And I haven't done any statistics on this, but
No.
it doesn't feel like it necessarily is improving.
So last season, this stat was released in January 2024. Last season, 20% of officials in the women's game were on contracts and able to concentrate on refereeing full time. But when you look specifically at the Women's Super League, it was half of the referees. Obviously, that is last season, so that's not the stats for this season. But yeah, there is not 100% professionalism across refereeing in the sort of top tiers of women's English football.
Yeah.
I think first of all, referees do need to be full time. That seems like an obvious first step before you get into the pros and cons of VAR.
Yeah. We now have a top 2 leagues that are professional for players. Every player in WSL and WSL2 is a professional. So we should have the same standards, I think, for referees. And also we should be like giving referees that same opportunity to
Exactly.
Yeah.
do the job that they enjoy doing full time and not have to
Absolutely.
balance like multiple different ways of making a living.
It's a very important job, and it's like,
Yeah.
as much as we all get absolutely fuming and pissed off at referees week in, week out, they are essential to the game, and they should be given the funding, given the opportunity to do the best job that they can do. I'm sure it's not nice for them either when they're making howlers every week and they're thinking,
no, exactly.
well, maybe if I did this full time, I would be better at my job. Like, I'm sure that people want to be better as well.
Maybe I would be better at my job.
No, but like, if you're right. If I don't have to think about my other job, or like, I wanted
or
to.
I've actually had enough hours to properly study this and like practice it, and then now suddenly I'm in this really high pressure situation, and I may get it wrong because I haven't been able to spend enough time thinking about it. But I think also, Jessie, what you're saying about we're then relying on someone who's like in the VAR booth or whatever, making a decision. That's like would be so much worse in women's football, because it's already a huge issue in men's football, which is obviously massively resourced. Like, let's all not forget the afternoon we all became diehard Coventry fans.
Yes.
When football was robbed of like the ultimate fairy tale because of a really controversial VAR decision.
Yeah.
And that would only be happening tenfold in the women's game.
Yeah. I would love there to be a situation in the future where, you have, my ideal setup of VAR across football is you have specialists who are not like on-pitch referees. It's a completely separate track, refereeing, and they watch any decision 3 times over in real time. If it's not clear and obvious, it's not clear and obvious, and that's it. Like, that would be I know there's probably like plenty of practicalities I've not considered, but like that would be what I would like to see VAR become. And if there's a world in which you can have that and those specialists work across men's and women's football, perfect. But currently we're talking about a game where, we don't have fully professional referees. We don't have goal line technology in, the WSL. And we're talking about VAR. And I think this kind of patchwork nature of some competitions have it, some competitions don't, some competitions will do it for the final.
It's not helpful.
It's not helpful because it gets seen as this like immediate fix of the situation when it's not gonna be. What we should be focusing on is like, okay, how can we empower referees and like better train referees and give them a better like environment to perform in? Because decisions like this, unfortunately, all they do is just sort of hand ammunition to like critics of women's football.
Yeah, exactly.
And pissed off fans when the decisions go against you. But they are. I mean, some of the decisions are baffling, and like the handball decision.
Oh, Jessie, you don't need to tell me.
Yeah,
the handball decision is just appalling on that Stina handball. That was.
I think it was the fact that she moved her arms.
Yeah.
So then the ref saw that she'd moved her arms, so then thought that must have been a handball, but she literally moved her arms out of the way.
What threw me, because I was like, I was watching it, like rewinding and replaying. I was like, is it the first one? Is it the second one? Which one is it she thinks? But then I was like, hang on, Stina has done this. Stina Blackstenius has controlled the ball, scored. In front of her is Lucy Bronze, is Erin Cuthbert, is Millie Bright, is Niamh Charles, all who have eyes on her. You were telling me that if Stina Blackstenius handballed a ball and then scored, Erin Cuthbert wouldn't be up in arms immediately.
I do, Bronze did call for it, actually.
I'll be honest, I could not decide if that was Lucy Bronze calling for it or just kind of like throwing her body weight to like,
be fair,
to go
she
back.
She does throw her arms around a lot, doesn't she?
I was like, is it a balancing?
I
or is she calling
thought
for
that
it?
was her calling for it, but then equally maybe it wasn't.
Yeah.
But she is also the kind of player who will appeal for any decision.
Yeah. It was. To be honest, it was Erin Cuthbert. I was like, if Erin Cuthbert with eyes on that is not saying anything, I just don't feel like it was a handball.
Yeah. Not that you can obviously make a decision like that based on the players' reactions, but it's a clue.
Yeah, it does give you a hint to like, should you be looking at this, and for how long it took for them to decide.
Oh, that was appalling.
Had play restarted?
I don't know if play had restarted, but like
pretty
all
much.
of the there had been a long period of celebration.
Yeah.
So like it had been a while.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I was just like, wow, blah, 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 blah. No idea what had happened from a fan in the stands perspective.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you just see the one
it rolled back to a
go
zero.
back to a zero on the scoreboard, and everyone was like,
What
happened?
Yeah.
So the Alessia Russo offside goal that was given
and the Frida Marnham
onside
goal that was ruled as offside.
Yeah.
Were both, they didn't feel tight enough for either of them to be mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, I think Alessia Russo was quite
they were quite obvious when you were watching both of them,
Yeah.
I also think that for the players, the kind of, and I'm not, again, just talking about this game because we've sat in here many times when there have been, like, absolutely terrible decisions
I still
made.
have trauma over that penalty that Everton
Exactly.
got.
And the Manchester Derby one, like, there's been so many, but imagine how frustrating that is for the players for it to just happen over and over and over again, and that affects the game as well.
Yeah. It just feels like we're not creating a good situation for anybody.
No.
And I don't really know. I would love it to feel like there is an actual plan. And I don't really know if, I guess they don't come under like the purview of WSL football. I guess it's more of an FA thing. I don't really know. But
I don't know either.
Maybe, but the WSL should be addressing it, I think, because it is affecting so many games.
Yeah.
It's interrupting so many games.
Yeah.
I do think kind of like if you take away all of the context of what we've spoken about, you know, referees going full time, like better training, better resources, I do think maybe in theory for me, I would like to see VAR in the women's game as well. I know it can be really, really annoying as a fan, but these decisions can be really annoying anyway. And then you have the example of Arsenal this weekend where the fans did celebrate, the players did celebrate, and then the goals were chalked off. So that's like what people always talk about hating about VAR.
Yeah.
Is that you celebrate and then or you can't celebrate, or you can obviously, you can always celebrate a goal. And then it's shit if it gets chalked off. But like that can happen with or without VAR.
Yeah.
And I do think with good training, it will help referees and it will help fairer decisions. Although maybe fans, I don't think it will help their head loss.
No.
Because people will argue about any decision, whatever happens. Like whether that's a refereeing decision on pitch, whether it's a VAR decision, there's always going to be human error. There's always going to be controversy. There's always going to be a difference in opinion. So nightmare. But I do think kind of ultimately, in theory, pro VAR.
And not to be one of those people that's like, women's football can correct all the mistakes of men's football. But like, I guess if you brought in VAR, you don't necessarily have to copy the exact model of how it is done in the Premier League. It doesn't need to be people based off site at Stockley Park, you know, making decisions. You could look at, okay, how is it working and can we do it differently?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be the full version that has developed into like in the Premier League and other competitions.
I think you're right though that bringing it in soon would feel like running before we can walk to a certain extent. And I think that if there's going to be resources concentrated somewhere, it should be on trying to increase the quality of refereeing rather than running to introduce VAR before we've really ironed out like the root of these issues.
Yeah. I guess the other perspective though is that obviously for the kind of skill and career development of referees in the women's game, that is a longer term project. Like you can inject cash into that, you can improve training, but it's not even remotely an overnight fix. Whereas VAR, also as we've said, it could work, it could not, but it would be something that you can put in place pretty much with like quite a fast effect.
Yeah. I guess the other thing sort of infrastructure wise would be whether all the grounds could bring it in.
Well, that's probably most of the problem with it at the moment.
Yeah, you think about how many cameras are required for VAR, and like so many grounds had to fit them, and it's why so like they're not brought in the men's game until a certain stage of the FA Cup. Because
I think I think that's what I mean. What I meant at the beginning in terms of infrastructure is that there are so many other things that, you know, players only got boot sponsors this season. Like they only got free boots this season from Nike because Nike stepped in for all the players that didn't have a boot sponsor. Like there's so much inequality in terms of what money there is in the teams. I would hate for some of that to start getting funneled into things like loads of cameras for VAR or that kind of technology when they don't have a nutritionist or they're having to pay for their own physio, whatever it is. I think that's what I mean. Like I think that we are just not there. Like that 4 teams are there. I think the other teams are not there to be able to implement that. There are so many other things that need to be financed and like sorted out and developed before we can start spending money on stuff like that, I think.
No, I think that's it's like a nice thing to have in the pipeline. And maybe it
something
would be
to work towards, maybe
it would be a good
think about.
So it's not a no, but it's not right now.
Okay, guys, it's not a no. We'll consider.
Well,
we'll continue to
screamers
consider.
have spoken. I hope you're listening, Nikki.
And now for our next agenda item.
Well, I guess maybe in terms of areas that football needs to focus on first before they focus on VAR is the everlasting, eternal issue that is the 12 p.m. kickoff. And the consistency with which multiple matches are on at the same time. So, you know, we talked about a report a few weeks ago where it was saying how much viewership had dropped among fans of the game from sort of like 3.5 games per weekend to just over 2 games per weekend. And I've seen actually weirdly loads more tweets just from fans, like anecdotally, in the past week saying, I used to know way more about what was going on in other teams. I used to watch, like, my team's game would be on. It was like there were some United fans as well. Like, I'd always watch the game before or after the United game because it's always nice to know more about the leagues. And now I only know my team. And it's such an issue. But then it's being compounded by the 12 p.m. we know is dictated largely by men's football scheduling, which then is having an effect even on the actual matches that are broadcast because, as you pointed out, Maya.
Yeah, the London City Lionesses Spurs game ended before it actually ended today because they just started giving us coverage of the men's Palace game.
Which, really, really want to see the lineup of a game that's, not going to start until after this one finishes.
Exactly.
That is absolutely nuts.
It'll be really interesting to see if they get, like, called out and have to address it. Because
I wonder.
I don't know how that is acceptable.
It was surprising.
Especially as, you've got other channels covering other matches, so you can't just be like, this is now going to move to this Sky Sports channel.
Yeah, exactly. Also, that one was the 11:55 kickoff as well, so they even gave themselves another 5 minutes.
Not enough. Well, guys, I know what I'll be campaigning for so that this doesn't happen. 11 a.m. kickoffs.
Brunch.
You
it's
joke,
the perfect brunch for Stamford Bridge.
You joke, and they will bring that in. Yeah. They will bring in an 11 a.m. kickoff.
No, please, no, Nikki, I was joking.
No, sorry. It's going to be 8:30 on a Sunday morning. You want to go to an away game? Cool, go overnight. It feels like they've not seized the right message from the past 2 Euros wins and how to grow the game. And
the thing is, the viewership is there and they're just culling it.
Yeah.
Like, it's infuriating.
It
feels like total self-sabotage.
Yeah.
Because they need to know, they must know that people aren't going to go back and watch a game that's already happened.
But also you can't.
Unless you're a massive nerd like us.
But we are massive nerds, but we are like 1% of football, women's football fans.
But it is so hard to go back and watch some of these games because Sky don't make replays of all of them available. They're not all on YouTube. So even if you are massive nerds like us, you also can't go and watch them all.
Yeah, true.
You get restricted to anywhere between 2 and 10 minutes of highlights, and that's kind of what you get.
Yeah. I mean, for the average fan, it's such a huge viewing experience change from last season. When last season we had nearly every single game available to watch for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
And also not all at the same time.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are massive benefits to this Sky broadcasting deal, but yeah, it's just rubbish for fans.
And it's going hand in hand with things like Everton women moving to Goodison Park. And if part of the way you encourage more people to know that Goodison is still being used for Everton women, obviously diehard Everton fans would have it would be on all the newsletters and whatever. But like part of the way you encourage more fans to go and watch them is by seeing them on TV. And if you can't see them on TV because you're out because your own kids are playing football or because,
Well, because there's 10 other games on at the same time.
Yeah, like how do you ever... And, it's all part of the same issue of, like, the camera angles and the quality of coverage. Like, these are all things that feel like are areas that need to be addressed within the game.
Own goals.
Bring back the Sunday night...
Yeah.
Was it Sunday night one?
It was like Sunday at like 6 p.m. that we all used to hate.
Everyone hated it. Bring it back.
Sorry,
Run
I
it
still
back.
hate it. I still hate it. But I love a Friday night game.
Yeah,
I love
Friday night games.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's enough time in the weekend.
There's only been a handful of Friday night games this season. It's like
they're such
if you can at least have one Friday night game, 2 Saturday games at different times, and then Sunday, whatever, do what the fuck you want. Sorry, like
at least we've watched 3 games.
At least we've been able to watch at least 2-3 games. Yeah.
I mean, it is another case to revisit whether the 3 p.m. TV blackout needs to be scrapped for women's football. Yeah,
well, that's definitely something to discuss, I think.
Yeah, I know they did explore it ahead of last season, like when the what was then the WPLL first took over, and they explored it and I think was shot down in those attempts. But it's like, okay, if you want a dedicated broadcast spot,
let's try this again.
Let's try it again.
Yeah.
Because I feel like all of the arguments, I mean, there's a much broader conversation about the 3 p.m. blackout anyway that goes well beyond what we A, have time for, and B, like the scope of screamers. But, like, the arguments for that don't actually really apply to most women's football games.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing to think about. It's still obviously very tricky and complex, but...
Yeah.
I still think they can find a better solution than this.
The last sort of women's football issue that we wanted to talk about has come off the back of our...
I love women's football issue.
Yeah.
It's like women's football has got issues, guys.
Yeah.
And we're here to talk about them.
We are the agony aunts for Woso as a whole.
Cool, everybody call in with your women's football issues and we'll see if we can solve them. But just someone make sure Nikki is listening.
Yeah, someone could just keep sending her the links to the inbox. Come off the back of the what feels like never-ending chat about Mary Earps' autobiography.
Goodness.
Obviously, we talked a lot about it last week, and that was
a lot of the chat, by the way, fueled by her because she's done about 5,000 interviews this week. But yeah,
I'm sure she's done another 3 in the time we've been on this. But yeah, it's kind of now the book is out in the world, people are reacting to it, and people are reacting to those first draft of interviews. I think everybody at the same time we were last week was reading those first extracts. Some people obviously had advanced copies, but like a lot of the world was sort of catching up and watching the journey in real time. Now the book is out, lots and lots of people have weighed in, including many former and current players, former and current colleagues of Mary Earps, people who've played with her for England, people who've played with her at club, lots of people weighing in. And it's kind of started this discussion, well, many different veins. I mean, the Millie Bright, Rachel Daly podcast's take on it, I think is something we need to address. But like this intersection of like celebrity discourse and women's football and where the direction of the game is going. It's something you brought up last week, Honor, about the sensationalist nature of it all.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because it is just unprecedented. This is something that Ellen White was saying on the BBC podcast, just about how fast women's football has grown. That we've never seen a situation like this where a player is putting out a book with these kind of revelations and no one knows how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And because it's just like unprecedented level of noise around it and drama.
I think that is one of the things that this whole situation has really shown is how quickly the sort of cult of celebrity the sort of that side of it has grown in disproportion to how the women's football setup is not prepared for it.
Yeah.
And I think Mary Earps herself has made the point about how men's footballers have so much around them to help deal with kind of being famous and protecting yourself and all that kind of thing. Emma Hayes has talked about that as well, about how, you know, there's all this kind of mental health support and loads of things in place for male footballers, like their managers, their agents, like everything to protect them. Whereas for people in women's football, often for the agents as well, who are much newer as well, because they often have different agents to the men.
Yeah.
They're just less prepared, less skilled, just because they're not used to it. And I think we've seen that in whatever advice Mary Earps has been getting from her team.
Yeah.
They obviously haven't expected the reaction that they've had.
Yeah.
And that's maybe down to a lack of experience.
Yeah.
And then the way that Millie Bright has responded compared to maybe Farrah Williams, or there just has been no plan.
Yeah. I think Anita Asante in her column for BBC Sport basically made a similar thing. She said that Mary's not the first sports person to release an autobiography that criticises others or has a perspective on how they feel they've been treated. But if you're putting things into the public domain, you have to expect that you will get responses to that. But it feels that she was unprepared for the reaction. And it really does feel like she's been caught off guard by all of it.
Yeah.
Which, when you look at that from the outside, it seems insane.
How could you be? Yeah.
But then is this us able to look at this in hindsight after it's all blown up, saying, how did you not foresee this happening?
Yeah.
Or was it really that obvious and the people around her are either idiots or not bothered about protecting her?
Yeah.
Which is a really sad thought, yeah.
Because I feel like, based on the timelines of this book, so the book's come out now, it means I don't know how fast publishing works for of the moment sporting autobiographies, but she had to have been writing this, or at least finalising it, around the time of the Euros and around the time of all of the noise around her international retirement. Somebody in her team should have looked at that and been like, okay, maybe now's not the time.
Yeah.
There will be interest in your autobiography in 12 months, 18 months.
I mean, I think even longer. To be a current player and to be releasing this book, I think also just 2 years on from the World Cup, it's so fresh.
Yeah.
Like 3 years on from the previous Euros win.
Yeah.
Like months after her retirement.
Yeah.
International retirement.
Yeah.
It is so fresh. All of the people involved are still either playing football, working in football.
Yeah.
Like, it's that's why it's had such a huge
Yeah,
kind of splash, because everyone is active still, and it's affecting people's work and well-being.
And I think that really reminded me of that TikTok is like, bro, you active? Anyway,
These
sorry.
people are active.
They're active. And that really shows in people's reactions. Like, we've basically heard nothing from current players.
Yeah.
And we've only heard the opinions of former players.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of obvious there that there is some kind of something in place where that's just not the done thing, and she's gone completely against that. Like you were talking about Millie Bright earlier.
Yeah, I think that the Millie Bright Rachel Daly podcast, Daily Brightness, I think the reaction on that is kind of, it feeds into the bit about current players and their role in media, which I think we should come back to. But yeah, I found specifically Millie Bright's reaction to it baffling.
Can you explain what her reaction has been?
Yeah, they were doing a sort of question answer episode of their series, and they start off, I think everybody was like, God, I wonder what their reaction is going to be, because they're both famously good friends with Mary Earps. Obviously, Millie Bright has played for England with both of them, is currently captain of Chelsea, where Hannah plays her club football. So it was like, okay, this person kind of sits at the centre of the Venn diagram. Rachel Daly goes up, right, moving on. We know you all want us to talk about the Mary Earps, Hannah Hampton thing. We know, we've seen everything. And Millie Bright jumps in like, we've seen your tweets. We know you want us to have a gossip, doing these sort of air fingers about it. And like Rachel Daly's like, yeah, that's not what we are. We're about spreading positivity. We're not a gossip podcast. It's like...
It's so reductive.
It's honestly, it just comes across as bitchy.
Yeah.
I think that's just horrible.
Millie Bright's
to reduce your teammates' experience, which I can't imagine how tough this has been on Hannah Hampton. To reduce somebody who is very famous, speaking publicly about this very personal, very sensitive situation.
Yeah.
Reducing that to gossip.
Yeah. I think it's really a really poor move.
It's really damaging.
Yeah.
Like, because then that just also in a way legitimizes what's going on. It's like, oh, it's just gossip and like it's not harmful. But actually this situation is harmful.
Yeah.
For Hannah, for Mary,
and
for
it's not
many
gossip,
people
it's
involved.
in writing in a published book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That someone, we all know you're friends with Mary Earps and you might feel conflicted talking about it, but like it's not just like rumours and whispers.
Yeah.
She has published a book. She has published
done thousands
extracts.
of interviews.
Yeah, and to be like totally laughing like, we know you want us to gossip.
And you know what? They do gossip as well.
Exactly. That's so rich coming
It's
from
so
them.
fucking rich. Like,
So hypocritical.
yeah.
And it's just like, how can this is why I wanted to know what the vibe was like between Hannah and Millie on that pitch, because what must that be like for Hannah Hampton to hear?
With your captain.
Your captain kind of laughing off, your name effectively being dragged through the mud, and you are, I think Hannah's just, not chosen to not involve herself in the, I've been part of a narrative that I never chose to be, but like that kind of, going to stay silent. I don't know what advice she's had, whether that's a personal choice, whether someone's told her to be to do that, but like to hear your captain sort of laughing this off as gossip,
especially when Hannah's manager Sonia was so vocal about it.
Yeah,
you would have thought Millie would have realised that maybe she has a public platform.
Yeah,
maybe she should say something.
Yeah.
And it's also like, as a captain, it's a responsibility. It's
Exactly.
a duty of care
Yeah.
to your teammates.
Yeah.
You are in a position, like, you have a duty to protect your teammates, to look after them, to create a good atmosphere in the dressing room, to stand up for the right thing, essentially.
Yeah, and that continues no matter whether that's not just an on the pitch responsibility for 90 minutes. You are still Chelsea captain on this podcast.
Also, you are riding that wave of celebrity by having a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, and therefore you are also benefiting from this side of the industry. So therefore you should have to talk about that kind of thing, especially given that you're the captain in this situation.
But it's just like, you cannot absolve yourself of your Chelsea captain responsibilities because you don't want to talk shit about your mate. No one's asking you to like drag Mary or talk shit about Mary.
But that's coming back to what you guys were saying about it being such a reductive description of the situation, or it's a complete misunderstanding of the situation. Either one is kind of pathetic.
How do you have these conversations in a balanced, rational way when you're all still playing and there's all the dynamics of like still playing together going on? And, is there a case, not saying we should ban all current players from doing media, but like who is advising these players on what knock-on effect is this going to have on your
Well, I
club
think it's
career.
really interesting. Speaking as someone who works on that side of the media,
Yeah.
I've made like series with men's football clubs and then women's football clubs. And it's amazing as a documentary filmmaker working with women because they haven't been through the media machines that the men have been through. And so they have been much more open, much more candid, much more kind of honestly just think for themselves a lot more and have a lot more to say.
Yeah.
Because women's football has been historically much less institutionalized and controlled than men's because it's just not as big a business.
Yeah.
And as they get more and more famous, there is that kind of, it's kind of out of step because they haven't had all the media training that the men have had. More and more they have done, the younger players do.
Yeah.
But the slightly older generation, most of whom are now starting to retire, but they haven't had that training.
Yeah.
So they are like not as slick in those situations and much less boring. So for the media, that is really interesting.
Yeah.
So is that thing of like, now that like we're saying, you know, as they become more and more famous, their training and the way they're protected and the way they're controlled by the people around them is out of step with that kind of platform.
I think it's what we've always loved, isn't it, about women's football, like that openness and that
they've
honesty.
got character and personality, which a lot of honestly the men's footballers lack.
Like the moment, and you know, it is one of the moments that you think of Mary Earps, isn't it? It is that all of the players coming into the press conference after the Euro 22 final, standing on the table, dancing
on the
singing.
table,
I can't actually picture that happening for men's football, and you don't want to lose things like that from the women's game. But equally, I think there needs to be people around players and clubs being like, this is the kind of effect this will have. Because what I really worry is Mary Earps has kind of consigned herself to resigning at PSG. Because I don't see a club looking at this and looking at the turmoil this has created and being like, yes, that's an energy we want.
And that's a safe person to have in the dressing room.
Yeah.
I think it is interesting what you're saying about they need to have people around them to kind of stop them being so open or so. I do think that like there is, I don't know if there's a way that you can keep all of that personality and charm of the women's football space and also make it more controlled and careful with the media. So I do think you do lose that.
Yeah.
But maybe we do have to because it's becoming so popular now.
Yeah.
Maybe you just can't have that candidness and like just as how people have got so upset that you can't have that personal connection with women's football players anymore and they get really angry with them on the sidelines and stuff because it's become too big.
Yeah.
Maybe this really sadly is something else we're going to start losing from the game because they're not going to be able to be this open because there are much bigger knock-on effects when you do that, when you have such a huge platform. So yeah, I'm not sure you can really have it both ways.
Yeah.
And that's why we don't in the men's game. Has anyone got anything for the women's football notice board? Shall I go first?
It kind
Well, you can if you do call it
sounds-
the right thing.
What's it called? Woso.
The women's football notice board.
Guys,
Has it ever been called that?
listeners, every single week when Maya introduces this segment, we have to cut it because she calls it something different every single time. Little bit of Screamer's Law for you there.
Sorry, I just remembered now. It's called the Woso Community Noticeboard.
Yeah, it's all right. Award-winning podcast, everybody.
As you know, we all stand for community, and so does our favourite Guna. It's Zora Mamdani.
I was like, Gunnosaurus?
And he got a whole Versus post this week,
Yeah.
which was well deserved.
Yep.
Me and Honor are deeply obsessed.
What?
And Jessie.
Jessie looks,
Sorry,
absolutely.
everyone's obsessed. We are all deeply obsessed with Zora
Yeah.
Mamdani. Only the more so that he is actually an Arsenal fan.
Hot screamers for Mamdani.
So BRB moving to NYC, but congratulations everyone who lives there. Your life's now better than anyone else's.
Yeah, I still think that, you know, do mayors of New York make state trips? I don't know. Get him over to the Emirates for a women's game.
Oh,
I think he would.
Yeah.
I think he would too.
This is our official invite. We'll take you down to the pub for a drink after.
Okay.
Perfect.
Anyone got a connection? And
oh yeah, well,
you were trying to think of a
we were
connection.
texting the other day, but I'm convinced we can find some degrees of separation to get to him. I was honestly furiously trying to think who could get me to him, but I think I'll do it. I just need a minute to think about it.
Yeah, maybe text a few aunties and
Yeah.
See what's what. Well, maybe when we'll cut this segment out if we want to send it to him of like, I'm furiously trying to get to him. that might be the security team be like, okay, so banning
You're
them.
so right though. I should definitely text my mum.
I see the cogs turning.
He is from the same group of immigrants, but they just went to America and we came to the UK. I think, yeah, we're going to get there.
I think
we'll get there.
I think if we get him on the podcast,
I'd die.
that would be...
We'd have peaked though. We'd have to end Screamers. That'd be the last ever episode. My other notice is also from the US, which is, did you guys see the retirement party that Tobin Heath threw for Kristen Press?
No.
It was
the most American Kristen Press Tobin Heath event that has ever existed. I'll just give you a few highlights.
Yep.
So Tobin had like written out different snippets from Kristen Press's career and framed them on like different, there was like zones of the party. So there was different zones and each zone had a different like era of her career.
My God.
And one of them that I saw was like one section of her career. I think it was about her injury and when she came back from injury last year. And then at the bottom it said...
the ACL corner.
At the bottom of the frame it said, please feel free to light a candle in gratitude for this part of like, or for like Kristen Press's career or something. And it was this table of candles that you could light with gratitude.
Literally lighting a candle for Kristen Press's
She's not dead.
She's not dead.
She's not dead.
And then also Tobin Heath had imported like a section of grass so that people were invited to touch the grass and ground
and stand barefoot. Did they barefoot on the grass?
To ground themselves.
I really
That's
have
hilarious.
to like disregard and overlook a lot of the behaviour of Tobin Heath and Kristen Press to stay liking Tobin Heath and Kristen Press.
It was so them though.
It's
so them. I do feel like Kristen Press has had like 10 retirement events though. So it's like the retirement tour.
Yeah, I think I didn't realise that they had one more game after the big, and it was just because it was the
I
away
know,
game.
that was so funny. And then she was like, now it's my last ever time. I was like, hang on a second.
Hang on, I
thought we did this.
Yeah. Oh well, that's very them. I have two other things. One thing also relates to the NWSL was a Sandy McIver, TikTok queen, did a video with her Esme Morgan and Sophia Cantori doing the like blind ranking of pastas. And they were like, obviously we've got the expert here, and Soph is brilliant. And like Sandy and Esme are like talking through it all, and Sophia's just like, Fusilli, 6. And any more explanation? 6, yes.
I need to watch that.
But the other thing is England's World Cup qualifiers group has been announced.
Boo.
And once again, we are going to be facing Spain. Because...
when will it end?
It will never end. It will never, ever end. We'll be in the wastelands of a post-apocalyptic world and there will still be some kind of England-Spain fixture. But England have been drawn against Ukraine, Iceland and Spain for our World Cup qualifiers, kicking off in the 3rd of March and then finishing on the 9th of June next year. First game is away to Ukraine, and then, we will be culminating the first batch against Spain at home on the 14th of April. 2026.
Goodness.
Can't be asked.
Yeah, I'm over it. I'm really over it. Fortunately, I think it's like the Women's World Cup is expanding again for the next time, so I think probably only need to come second in the group to be fine anyway. But
so it might be all right then.
Yeah, unless Iceland stun us all.
I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and I don't think we've played Ukraine, have we? Not that I can.
Not
remember.
recently.
Not
anyway,
not in recent memory. So it'd be quite fun to see us play against some different teams.
Yeah. That's all we've got time for this week on Screamers, but join us next week where we will be digging through the latest fixtures of the Champions League and of course the much fated WSL official Derby Weekend.
Follow us on Insta, TikTok and YouTube at screamers_pod, or you can email us at screamerspod@gmail.com if you want to send us angry messages there.
Or any women's football issues.
Yeah.
Or more women's football issues.
And amongst all that, please remember to rate, review and follow us wherever you're listening right now so we can reach even more women's football fans.
Bye.
Ciao.